Welcome to Mind Specialist. I'm Dr. Avdesh Sharma, consultant psychiatrist practicing psychiatry for about 40 years. We are talking about difficult times that we may go through as an individual, as a family, and sometimes as a society. But also, if you are going through difficult times as a society, as a nation, and the world, it makes it very, very difficult to cope with. And when you are coping with it, and especially when you are coping with it, when you are feeling isolated, you are not able to meet people very freely, you have all the time in the world to think, mind can play lots of games with you. People may go through anxiety at that point of time, but a lot of it is anticipatory anxiety. Anxiety about the future, anxiety about economics of life, anxiety about power and position, anxiety about health, anxiety about what the future entails for you. So there are many ways that in which we should be able to deal with the mind, and actually these times can be good time when we can practice the way we can learn to manage, to handle and to steer our mind. This can also be the time when we can look at the past patterns in our life, we can look at our relationships, and we can most importantly look at our own relationship with ourselves. So we'll start with talking about how to manage the mind, especially the thoughts, and then we'll also talk about how to manage the emotions that are associated with it. When we have a lot of negative thoughts, especially about the future, the first step is reminding ourselves that the future is only in the future. You can only deal with the present. You can only deal with the situations as they are at this point of time. So learning to separate the present from the future is very important, because the mind starts imagining everything as if it is real, as if it is happening right now. So learning to say, no, this is not for now. I can deal with it in future when I have more information, and that's when I would be able to deal with it with much more empowerment. The second thing is learning to cut down whole lot of information which at the moment is not useful for me, like what will happen to the money market, the job market, the shares, the health of the countries, the economic issues that will come up, or the relationships that will come up, or the number of people who will have different kind of physical, mental, social or emotional issues. Learning to deal with things as they are at this point of time also means learning to become a witness to your own life, a witness to your own thoughts, and a witness to whatever is happening around us, and learning to deal only with that. So you are able to reduce the load on your mind, on your thoughts, by just cutting down what is not necessary. Learning then to pick and choose the kind of thoughts that we have. A lot of times we are not even aware of what kind of thoughts that we have. And this is the best time when you have a little bit of isolation, silence, not too much to focus on, or to focus on only at your choice. That's when you can start saying, okay, this is something that I like. It's like a dish. If you don't like a dish, you don't keep eating it. And you pick the dishes that you feel are good for you, or you feel they are tasty. So similarly, the thoughts that make you feel good, those are the thoughts that you pick and choose and keep with yourself. The other thoughts, learning to let go of them. Those that cause anxiety, those that cause a bit of irritation, those that make us feel that things in future would be bad, that make us feel hopeless or helpless or depressed, those are the thoughts that I don't want to have in my life. Visualizing that the future would be something that we would have control on, because we would be able to then do it according to the things at that point of time. Learning also to change these negative thoughts into positive ones, making affirmations. If you have a thought, write something which is positive about that particular situation or a person or about the future. Sometimes it is a good idea to write one thought down which is bothering you and then see what are the possibilities. That way, you would feel the control on it. And don't try to be perfect in everything. Don't try to have control for all scenarios. It's neither possible nor desirable. It's also important to try and see that we deal with people who give us a little bit of hope, who are able to control their own anxiety and who don't pile on their anxieties onto you. And if there is somebody like that, learn to say no, learn to minimize your contact with those people as far as possible. And learning to step back from life a little. Something that is called as witnessing, which means that we don't get too attached to things. We don't feel that unless this happens, life would not be worth it. Learning to say, all right, everything is passing. If it is not at this point of time something that I'm comfortable with, either I become comfortable with what I have, or in future I can learn to make myself comfortable with whatever there may be. Also important is to realize that all these things are happening inside my own mind. Most of the events outside are not things that bother us. It's the thoughts inside and the emotions that they generate. So learning to do something about our emotions whenever they are causing us a lot of distress, learning to step back from them, learning to know when not to allow them to go on for too long, and especially if those emotions are causing us a lot of distress, then learning to talk about it, learning to communicate with others, those people that you feel comfortable with, those people who you feel are able to give you some kind of a solution. And lastly, but most importantly, learning to live in the here and now as things are evolving, learning to be with that tide. Only then we would be able to learn to control our own mind and not let the mind control us. You can get much more information on our website www.mindspecialist.com. You can also connect with our Instagram, Facebook and YouTube channels of Mind Specialists.